Good morning. What is happening, Menasites? And I just thought, just start the video off interesting.
I don't even know anymore. I thought that maybe, just getting into character. There was this gentleman who was good enough to give me a donation. Thank you. Again, I feel like I'm feel guilty now because now I have to do something. There's so many stories. Everybody's focusing on the mainstream, the Epstein files. Okay, Stanley Kubrick, he made a movie about Eyes Wide Shut. Shortly before he mysteriously died, and yeah, I mean, when you get closer to the truth, yeah, you get faced with a lot of problems. And yeah, if you want to play ball, it's like if you talk about anything else, New Age or reincarnation, that's hip right now. That's trendy. That's cool. Gorillaz made a music video about the mountain, the moon, cave, and the sad god, which I gotta tell you, I am impressed with the art style. I watched it before. I'm gonna play the video again. I would just say, find that video and then play it for best entertainment purposes. Yeah, so this art style dates back to the 1960s, a 2D animation era, which is I thought was a lost art. Now with the advent of AI and 3D computers modeling and such, this is really hard to accomplish. It takes hours and hours of skill and work that goes towards these animations. So yeah, a lot of care and love was. Well, I mean, like I gotta look at it for how it is. I mean, it is beautiful to look at, but what they're showing, okay, New Age, and if you look at that scene in the cave, I'm just gonna play the video. Please let me know what you guys really think down in the comments section. Do you believe in the message, and what the music video is showing? The message about reincarnation and New Age. It's not biblical. Maybe like I shouldn't be the guy that should warn people about this stuff. Maybe the church. This is their job to do that. Instead, here I am talking about it. So, yeah, let's just dive right into this, shall we? It's a beautiful art style. So good. Nostalgia. I bet you though, if they made, Bible stories in this art style, yeah, it would gain popularity. Why are we doing that? Anyway, yeah, that's my take on it. It's noodle. Yeah. If I was a kid, I would be like happy as a clam to see this art style. It's like so good. Again, that's what they're doing. They're targeting the kids and the new Gen Zs and Gen Alpha. As you get older, though, like you understand the symbolism and the real meaning behind some of these movies. Yeah, that's what you got to pick up on. I mean, if I had kids, which I don't still, I would caution my kids about what they should be watching these days because a lot of entertainment is just, um, it's more subtle, but like I don't think parents these days really fully understand what kids are absorbing. They're just giving them iPads and stuff like that. You know, listening to music without even knowing what the lyrics mean, and watching movies and not understanding the symbolism behind it. It's got a pretty good beat though, I gotta say. It's catchy. What I really like, the favorite part of the music video for me is actually when they make it to the inside of the cave, and then that's where it really starts picking up, you know, into this symphony of rap and art. But it's done through hieroglyphics and a lot of Illuminati symbolism, I think. You know, talking about ancient aliens and talking about it through imagery of, you know, if people believe in ancient aliens, that's what they're incorporating into this video. Yeah. So that's why I was just saying, you know, people, they gotta be careful, they gotta be mindful about what they're seeing, and yeah, kids these days, they're getting more absorbed into the mainstream culture, which, again, the Christian community, they seem oblivious. They don't even if they knew, they probably would not touch upon that topic as much, because honestly, maybe they just don't know. Here we go. This is my favorite part of the. I think what they're doing, they're preparing people with the idea of like aliens returning. I don't know if you ever heard about the conspiracies of a Project Bluebeam, and just look at the imagery, you know, talking about creatures coming from another dimension. But this is part of the deception, and they're incorporating a new age and reincarnation. People, they don't reincarnate. They either go to heaven or Sheol Hades, heaven or hell. This is a lie straight from Satan. But they gotta make it look good and cool so that they can get people on board with this great lie, this deception. First of all, they have to create the deception. They have to draw people away from the truth, corrupting the churches, not forcing, but subtly, gradually. You know, it's like every year they normalize it, they condition people, and they go after the kids and the teenagers. You know, before you know it, people acknowledge, be like, yeah, you know, this is rad, and then they start talking about, you know, the hidden layers of symbolism and the occultism, which kids these days, they don't know what the Bible says, but they're researching into crazy stuff like occult knowledge, witchcraft and sorcery and magic. And this is actually how the video ends. You see him jumping off the edge of the boat with the boatman that looks like the Grim Reaper, plunging into the abyss, into blackness. And it's supposed to be poetic illustration of reincarnation, the death of the ego, as some people would call it, letting go of the self. You know, the soul dies and rebirth. That's what this music video is portraying through the cartoon known as Gorillaz. They're showing this beautiful but deceptive story about, you know, we are as one, or we are as gods. We can reincarnate and rebirth, death, and that's not the truth, but that's in the Hindu and New Age culture, that's what they believe. And that was the end of the video. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that. A lot of people today, they don't even know the truth. And they're putting it out there again, you know, up in the mainstream. And if this doesn't give out red flags, I don't know what will. And that's that.
The chaos on this planet is due to the music the musicians are playing, that they're forced to play by some who just think of money and don't realize that music is a spiritual language and it represents the people of Earth. When musicians are compelled to play anything, it goes straight to the throne of the creator of the universe, and that is how he sees you, according to your music. Because, see, music is a universal language, and what you cause musicians to play, it's what goes to the creator as your personal ambassador and your personal nemesis.
I sit on a council of 13 people that take orders only from the Rothschild Tribunal in London, which they claim they take their orders directly from Lucifer.
I was the manager of Zodiac Productions. which Zodiac Productions, its name's been changed since then, I'm not even sure what to call it now, but it's the largest music conglomerate in the world. It owns RCA Records, Columbia Records, Motown Records, owns almost all the concert booking agencies in the United States. And that's not even the name of the company that owns it. The name of the company that owns it is Brenner Enterprises, and Brenner Enterprises is owned by Chase Manhattan. Chase Manhattan's owned by Standard Oil, and Standard Oil is owned by the Lords of London. You can track it on back. You kind of get the idea after a while. But I was the managing president of Zodiac Productions. It's one of my jobs, as being one of these 13 people. Thus, I got to know many of the people who produce music and sing the music and play the music that you play. Now, one of the closest friends that I got during that time that I obtained was a man named David Crosby. Crosby, Still, Nash & Young. I saw David the day before Christmas last year. Talked with him. I got him away from this witch that he had with him. He told her to go shopping. We were in West Hollywood, and I was witnessing around to people I knew. We went off in this store, and we started talking. I said, David, I'd like to ask you a couple questions. I said, I already know the answers, but I've been gone for 5 years. I'd like to know if certain things are still the way they were when I left. I said, now I'll have to explain some of this when I'm done, because you're not going to understand it all unless you know something about music. I said, do they still take the master to the temple room? Dave said, yeah. I said, do they still have the coven conjure demons into the master? He said, of course. I said, now, I got to know something. What's the main reason for rock music? He said, come on, Lance, you know what the reason is. I said, please, David, I don't want to guess. Tell me what the main reason is. He says, the same as when you were in, so that we can place spells on people that we couldn't cast spells upon. I'll explain what that means in a minute. I said, okay, one last thing. I've been hearing that you must be an initiated witch now to get a record contract. He said, that's right. He says, many of us that weren't total witches have to be witches now in order to produce music. I said, thank you. The master is a tape about as big as the top of this podium that looks like an overgrown 8-track that the album is cut on and is placed in a machine that produces and presses the records and the 8-tracks and cassettes that you buy. After it's been recorded, it's taken in. This is why a master is cut months in advance before it's released. On the full moon, it's taken in to a temple room about the size of this auditorium that is in every one of the major music companies, behind locked doors up in executive offices. And it's placed on an altar, setting in the north of the room, and a pentagram engraved in the floor. And 13 hand-chosen witches and wizards and a coven come in and conjure a principality or a power up, usually Regia or something like that, and order him to tell the demons under him to follow every record and every tape coming off of that master. As I tell many Christian parents, you can go home and count your kids' records, probably yours too, and count how many demons at least are there. If that's too hard for you to believe, I'm sorry. That's why they do it. Now listen to me. This is why rock music's addicting. Have you ever seen kids that got rid of their music? They go around like this. They can't wait to find a rock station somewhere and they sneak off just like hitting a cigarette or a fix because it's addicting. That's why they can't give it up. The rest of the conversation was this. You can't cast a spell on a Christian, but you can get a Christian to cast a spell on themselves. If you give the permission for the spell to work, being a Christian won't block it. And rock music is not just a song. It is supernatural music that which is carefully designed by their spirit guides or familiar spirits in the form of spells. Now, although the devil's music's power is the music and God's music is the words, much of the songs are written in what we call witch language. Give you kind of an idea. Many of you talk on a CB, unless you know what a smoky is, and a 10-4, and a front door and back door and rocking chair and these type of things. You don't know what you're talking about. Same with witches. When you're in the first and second level, you have to learn over 2,000 words that said by anybody else mean something totally different than when you say it. Elton John has said he's never written a song or sung a song that wasn't in witch language. Now I want to show you something. See how many kids in here will be honest and adults. How many remember and have heard at least several times a song called Hotel California? Somebody tell me what it meant. Quickly, somebody tell me what it meant. Huh? That's pretty close. But from the words, what did it mean? Well, that's more of a guess. See, most people can't tell you. That's why when people do drugs and they listen to songs in which language, they get some of the meaning. But most of the time, they can't tell you. Stop and think how many songs are out there that you really like, and you don't have any idea what the person was talking about. Beyond the Yellow Brick Road? How about The Destroyer by Kiss? Can anybody tell me what it's about? Kiss said in it, kids, show your parents. They're talking about Helter Skelter. Beatles sung Helter Skelter in which language? Nobody knew what it meant. Manson did because he belonged to the process. Helter Skelter is a several thousand-year-old word. Most of the music is either about Helter Skelter or a place called the Night Winds, which is what Hotel California is about, and different doctrines of witchcraft. You listen to them, your parents let you listen to them, and they have no idea. Kids openly bragged how they were gaining control of people through their music because the people played their music. They told how they didn't form their own group. Their church, because they were ordained ministers of the Satanist church, placed them together. And that's how most of the music is done. David Crosby, when him and Crosby, Still, Nash & Young produced the record Two-Way Street, they ordered the principality of Medivh to order demons of rebellion to go into the record, and everybody that heard it would be rebellious against law and order and government. And it was one of the reasons for the great upheaval in the 60s was that one album. And they take open credit for it.
I have personally talked with Johnny Todd on the basis of Jack Chick's recommendation. Having known Johnny Todd now for more than 4 years, and my having known him for some 6 months, I believe that Johnny Todd is a genuinely converted man, saved by the grace of God out of the depths of Satanism.